Hey guys, what's going on? I'm back off holiday now. I had a great time. It was more like a working holiday as I've got projects that needed to be done for certain deadlines, which is getting on to this video. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can nail your design brief every time. This video is sponsored by Dev Mountain. For those of you that don't know, a design brief is basically a document that a company will send to a creative person like a designer or someone who needs to do a job for them with goal set and pricing and other things in there like the research and the history. It's basically a document that has all the information necessary to design a business card, a brochure, a logo design, especially for logo design and branding. So the first thing you need to remember about a design brief is that there is so much more information that is probably not in that brief. Too many times I see companies when they send briefs to me or other designers, there's not enough information in there. Now that's not the fault of the company, that is our fault because we haven't asked those questions. So the first thing you need to remember is to ask more questions. When the company sends you the brief, you need to write notes on that brief as to questions that you need to get answered very quickly in order to proceed to the next step. Make sure all these questions are asked and look to the future or future questions that you may need. If you don't ask these questions, then you have got a lack of communication between the client. You need to have a vision of what they're looking at, and you need to be the person that's setting the tone for the brand and setting the tone for the design. And most of the time, companies that are very small or medium will not actually have someone who is professionally setting briefs for another designer, and that's just because they don't have the ability to do it. So sometimes you may need to write the brief for them to check, so that you know that they know that we've got this whole thing all on paper, that we know we have an objective place to look for this brand. Number two is researching. When a company commissions me to design a logo and we've gone through all the contracting and stuff like that, I will go ahead and do a lot of research into the company. Now this stage actually brings on more questions than the brief itself because I want to know more about them, and asking them a bit more information on certain aspects of the company does everyone a world of good. It gives people a solid foundation of where they're working. Some of these questions on the research side could be did you establish your business and stuff like that. For instance, let's say you were working for a company like Tesco. Not saying that I'm working for a company called Tesco, but if you were, then you might have to do more research online. Even though you know a lot about that company, you may find yourself needing to do more research about the company. If it's a large company like Tesco, they'll have a design team that will send you across brand guidelines and stuff like that. But if it's a relatively new business that needs a new design or a rebrand, then you will be the person doing that. So it's important to research into the sort of field that they're in, not just their shop or their store. So you've got two types of researching to do. You research into a field or an industry, and then you research into the actual shop for a rebrand. You can research with books, or you can go online, which is my favorite. And I basically just make this huge researching document where I look at the company and I ask myself questions and I make sure that I understand it. I need to understand this company just as much as an employee would understand it, if not even more. The third thing you need to do to nail your design brief is to have set and clear goals that are written on it. It's not enough for a business or a person just to send a message saying that they need a logo and here's what I like and what I don't like. What you need to do as a client is to send goals. Now this is the main thing that a client should do. They shouldn't really send ideas, they shouldn't send inspiration, yet they should send their goals for the company. So the designer, the person who is professionally and expertly knowing about the design field, can translate those goals into a vision or an icon for you. This is where a lot of people get a bit confused, because I get a bunch of people emailing me for a logo design and they send me an image and they say we want it like this and we want it like this before I've even asked or before I need to ask. And what that tells me is that they don't understand. Now that's not a bad thing, it's just because people don't understand the way that it works. It's relatively normal. But what you really need to understand is, as a designer, if you are designing or creating the brief for the client because they haven't done it, you need to set in stone the goals that the company need to reach with this design. And that is the basis of the objectivity of whether the design works or not. Because a lot of the time, design can be subjective and people can either have an opinion about it, but if you have goals set as to whether this design does this or this design does that or this design does what, then you have an objective basis to say that that design has succeeded and that is the one for you. So for any of you guys out there that are wondering how people just like the logo designs that I do, or companies that hire me just like the work that I do. It's because I have clear goals, and if they haven't set them in the brief, I will put them in the brief. The creative brief is a collaborative thing, and it's not just for the client to send to you. They have the goals in there. The designer may add things to that as well with the permission of the brief giver. Number 4 is to be a designer and not a producer. So I touched on this a little bit beforehand, and I basically said that you are there to be a creative professional, using your expertise to actually create this, not just other people's ideas. Now, when I talk to brands or companies, no matter what size, I'll talk to a few people and I'll get their ideas across just to understand where they're coming from and where they think they should go. After all, this is a collaborative effort that we're going through. Logo design isn't just about me and the designer, there you go. At first, it's all about getting people around together and asking them questions. Now, the point of which where it becomes too collaborative in a way is when you start producing ideas that are not your own. Here's an example. So when I get people who say, I don't like that version, can we try this? And they send me an image of another piece of work, or they give me a sketch that they've done, and they want me just to simply produce it and make it look nice. That's not me designing it. That's me just producing a design that's already been done. If you want to start making real money with design, and if you want to start making, a name for yourself, you need to be the solution. You need to bring a solution, not just to produce something that someone else has solutioned. Does that make sense? So it's important to design things and to collaborate with the client, so don't get mixed up with that. And the 5th way to nail your design brief every time is to provide a solution for every problem on the brief with the work that you've done. The brief is there solely to give you more background and to give you an idea of the company, who works there, and the problems they have and the solutions that they want you to bring. And if you were to strip back all of the complexity of logo design or design briefs, it is really just someone saying, we've got a problem that needs to be fixed and we need to be problem solvers. So you need to strip it back and say, what are the main problems that they need a solution for, and create your logo design based around that in a collaborative effort. So to sum this up, you need to ask questions, research into the company, set easy to read goals, be a designer, not a producer, and to provide solutions for the company. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then you can subscribe by pressing that big subscribe red button down below. If you liked it, press like and also share this online. It is good to be back in the office today. Sorry that there's not B-roll on these videos. I'm ridiculously busy with design work and trying to create better content for you guys in overhead fashion. So guys, hopefully you will join me on the live streams on Thursdays. Have a great day and I'll see you in the next video. See you soon. Bye.